Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me again today as we walk this inner and outer pilgrimage for peace that began 25 years ago and that continues to this very day. Now, I may have started my pilgrimages alone, but I certainly didn't finish alone. Many of you who have been walking alongside us all these years, listening to our stories, being part of our conversations about the inner journey, about the spiritual aspects of pilgrimage, know very well who Alberto is. But rather than me telling you all about him, I thought, well, why not have him share his story directly? He too has such a very rich and deeply meaningful inner journey that I thought it only appropriate that he tell it directly in his own words. And it's funny, over the years, we have gotten so many comments from the readers of our book of Walking for Peace and Inner Journey, telling us just how much they either resonated or connected with Alberto or they connected with me. They could see us, both in the many discussions and conversations, so as not to call them arguments, that we had during our pilgrimage, that many would tell us that they chuckled as they kind of said, yeah, well, that's what Mony is saying is absolutely what I agree with, or saying, what Alberto was saying was absolutely right, because he's the one that had all the reason and the logic at that time. And I really believe it's because our experiences are universal. Our stories are universal. Each and every person has gone through maybe not exactly the same circumstances, but very similar circumstances, who have thought the same things that we have thought, who have felt the same things that we have felt. And so the great opportunity in looking at all of this again is to use all of these experiences, to use all of these stories as a means to communicate and to share what is eternal, what is universal, what can be applied to all of our thoughts and beliefs and to all the experiences of our lives, and what can bring peace. And this is really why we're doing all of this. So I have here Alberto sitting with me. Alberto, hi.
Hello.
I've spoken about my inner journey on this podcast. I've spoken about what has most influenced my thinking over the years, how I really didn't have a religious or spiritual upbringing in the same way that you had. But I did have a belief in how I was raised, and about being, a good person, about doing good things, about working hard, achieving the things of this world, looking after your family, just I think the basic good values that I think most parents try to transfer or inculcate in their children. How about you? What was kind of your upbringing like?
Okay, here we are speaking in English. Usually, the talks that I do lately are in Spanish. Then it's a great opportunity to practice this at this level. Even when we speak English, usually, but to this level, to talk to an audience is in English is a good thing. Then thank you. I wanted to start with telling you thank you so much for inviting me to our podcast. Like she remind me, Moni telling me, no, it's not my podcast, it's our podcast, because this is Walking for Peace. They go, okay, thank you, but you are the one that is carrying this this podcast usually, and I am so happy and so glad that to be here occasionally or whenever you invite me. But anyways, you could have continued doing this alone perfectly, but I appreciate that you invite me. For to be, I understand to be better known from my direct voice. No,
Yes.
that is what you want. No.
Yeah, I want people to hear directly from you what it is that your story is about. They've heard directly from me, and I could explain your story, but it's always more powerful when they hear it coming from the one who lived it, not the one who was told the story. So I thought maybe that would be a good way to let you share directly. because I know you speak from the heart. This is the thing that I love about
I try,
how you
yeah.
how you speak. You speak from the heart, and you
Oh,
speak in a
you do too.
genuine voice. Yeah, and I think people appreciate whenever you speak. I know
Yeah.
they appreciate it in Spanish, and I know for sure that you will speak absolutely beautifully in English too.
Yes. Well, I will do my best. Anyways, say that or that say.
Have that being
Have
said,
that say thank you so much again, and answering to your question more directly. I my well, I was raised in the Catholic belief system in the church because my mother especially and my father too, and I would say that all Spain at that time, or the majority of Spain, it was Catholic, because was the religion more extended in the country. But particularly my mother too, she was very religious in the aspect that she wanted to be a nun when she was young, and she didn't fulfill this desire because how so many times she told me her mother didn't allow it. then she
Yeah.
couldn't, and then finally she found a good man, my father, that he was in his own way, he was spiritual too, or at least he didn't put barriers to her beliefs, and then from that union, sacred union too, what we came, my brother and my sister and me, we came to this world. Then our upbringing, how you say?
Yes, upbringing.
Upbringing, it was very influenced for the beliefs of my mother. That it's not that she was fanatic or she was too obsessive with religion, but she really was. Today, I had, with the years, I had been seeing more in the way that she was a mystic.
I agree.
That she was a mystic. Well, you meet
I
her
met her obviously later in life, but
later in life, but yeah.
yes.
And she was, even when she was not a fanatic, fanatic is a way to say, maybe a little extreme, but she was not too in the dogma or the ideas, close ideas of the Catholic Church. She really believed in the more essential teachings, especially about Jesus and the message of Jesus. That for her, he was her best friend, we could say, and even she talked with him. She had different figures of Jesus in the house, and Mary, and she talked with him. She talked with him, and since we were very little, she was teaching us or helping us to have this relationship with him, with Jesus too, like she had it, because for her it was the best relation that anybody could have. Another thing that she taught us from very at the beginning is that Jesus, Mary, and overall God, it was over all things, it was love, and she really believed this, even when there was after contradictions in the in this love that she was that she believed. And these contradictions was precisely what years after make me start to doubt about the vision of the church, of the Catholic Church, because for one part I learned that God was love, much love. For one part he was all powerful at the same time, but for another part he allowed suffering in the world, and even he punished this suffering, and you could go to hell even for eternity if you don't do what he wanted that you do. And all those, these were the contradictions that for me put me a little away from in some moment from religion, especially from religion, even when I still believe that really what had created everything was love. My relationship with Jesus was being more distant with the years. It was when I became a teenager. When I became a teenager, I went out of my home to study outside of my home. Was when I started to have more friendships and more contact with people that didn't believe what I believed until that moment.
Even though, if I'm not mistaken, you were studying to become a priest. Is that right? You did part of your high school. Is that right?
Exactly. Because with this, the influence of the teachings and the love of my mother, because it's not that she was strict in these things, she was very loving, always was very loving, but the influence of her faith, we could say, and her love for Jesus and for God, and this obviously influenced me, influenced even my brother, and we were thinking when we were children that maybe in the future someday become a priest. No, that was the idea that I had at that time. Even when there are another things that I love it too, because I at that age I like it to draw, I like it comics, I like it all the arts too. But I saw them like a hobby, like something that was more for entertainment, for enjoy, but not for a like that the calling that this loving God was doing to all his children. No. But how I tell you, when I became a teenager, I started to have another thinking come to my life. I was more far away from my parents. I had more experience. I had experience to knowing girls. That was one of the obstacles that you become a priest. You couldn't, at least in the Catholic Church, you cannot marry and all that. And then, but especially to be living in a residence where I was for to study to be a priest, to be living in a place where there were many priests, many of them beautiful people and very loving, but some of them that chose some kind of attitude that were a little more contradicted to this love that we're talking here.
Contradictory to that love we were talking
Exactly,
about. I see.
that maybe they punish to the children, that they hit to. I'm talking only about a couple of cases here, and the majority of people, they were beautiful there. But this, I think this started to make me think that there was something wrong, that there was more wrong or something that was lacking in that path that I was following. Then arrived at a moment where I decided between that and my attraction for a more free life, more enjoyment,
Yes.
a happy life, well, it was that I put the distance with religion, and even at the moment that I didn't think about anymore. But this was my upbringing. How you were asking, that is, I came from that, and that is one of the things that more today I appreciate, because in my childhood, and I feel grateful to my mother and to my father too, because he was too a spiritual person, I tell you. And they were very good intention people. They always wanted the best, not only for them, but for everybody. Sometimes reaching the sacrifice, with these ideas of, the rich people cannot go to heaven because they had so many temptations, and then this show too in our style of life.
That there is nobility in being poor.
Nobility in being poor. That can be misunderstood. This can have a side that is helpful, but there is another side where you put away everything, and I don't think that is either the way to reach this enlightenment vision. The point is that I feel very grateful to my mother and to my father and to that my childhood, because it put me in contact, at least even when it was not clear or was not well explained, it put me in contact with the idea that I could feel at that time, that really what created everything, that all real parents, father or mother, like my mother says, I am not your mother, your father. Here in the earth, yes, but your real father is God and is love and loves you so much. And and all these ideas, they came to me, even when were not very well directed still or very well explained, but they came to me and obviously influenced me a lot, that when I put them away, I miss them. I miss them. And then with many years after, in my 20-something, I come back to the spirituality, but with a more open mind, but based in the essential truth that the creator of everything is love, then it was easy for me to connect all the right teachings that I received at that age with the new understandings that came to me through other philosophies or other visions, but that share the same loving understanding that the creator of everything is over all things love. Yeah.
I love that. No, I love that. I love that because obviously, I know this story, and I can see just from knowing your mom for the years that I did know her, just what a mystic she was, truly. The
She was
way
cute too.
she was cute too. She was, she
By
is.
the way,
I know.
she's here now listening this conversation, even not in her body, but
Yes,
her spirit, like we know now, is eternal, like all spirits are. No, we are one.
we are indeed.
Hi, mommy.
What I do want to ask you about, though, is how did you return? Because you said that you left spirituality. You saw many contradictions in it, even though the greatest teaching that your mom gave you and that your upbringing gave you is the sense or the understanding that God is love, the creator of all is love, and the force that drives everything in the universe is loving. You just couldn't reconcile it with all the contradictions that you were seeing. So something must have something must have happened, I guess, enough for you to say, I want to explore this again. Maybe there's something missing. Yeah?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that is a great question that I'm going to answer you very soon. But before I wanted to bring, because had crossed my mind, something that I think maybe is important to talk about. Um, when we are talking about the contradictions, I remember a special episode in my teenage years, in my youth,
Adolescence.
adolescent, that impacted me strongly. Even when after I had analyzed it, well, it was not so bad, but really impacted me. And was when still I was thinking to be a priest. I was in, I think, was the second year, no, the first year in high school. The first year I was 15, I think. And I was very proud to be doing what I was doing, or to have that calling. And I shared that with everybody because I thought that I didn't needed to feel ashamed of what I really want, especially because I wanted to not, is I wanted to help to bring this vision to the world. I needed not to be ashamed of it. No.
Right.
Then I remember that. Even when there was some jokes about the friends that I was having, oh, you're going to be priest, oh, funny, or saying that you don't like girls, or that kind of thing. Then I still, how I tell you, I still was feeling proud of that choice that I was having, even when I was still very young. But I think there was an important factor that at that time I didn't notice, or I didn't give importance, and it's that today I can see it. At that time, my belief in a loving God, my belief in spirituality didn't came only through books. One thing that my mother, apart, I read it. Obviously, I read it, and I had seen all the movies about Jesus, and I had read about all the saints, the life of saints, and because my mother put us to read when she was cooking, and this was the reading, the lectures that she helped us, or she asked us to read. But it was not only about reading, because one thing that she always did with us, that for some people look a little weird, is that she always asked us to ask for to God for help when any problem or anything. Go, she tell us, go and pray to Jesus or pray to Mary and ask for help, even with the most stupid things. Like could be like the channel of the TV went wrong, and and disappear the program that we were watching in that moment. Oh, like when we were children, go, run to Jesus and ask for help. And she had a statue, a figure of Jesus there in the room, and another of Mary. And we were going, and we ran there. Please, Jesus, help us. And you know the funny thing, half of the times came back very soon.
That's funny.
Then there was some kind, so it was not only intellectual understanding or wish. We could feel really that there was angels with us, that really Jesus was with us, was helping us, and we could see in our life. And maybe we drink too of the faith of our mother, because she believed that too, and she was all the time. You see how this, whatever, and he's with us, he loves us. You must trust in them because they love you. And Mary is your mother more than I am. You know, she loved all her children, and really. My mother was very kind. I don't remember that she hated anybody, nobody in her life. She always had words for compassion. But this point, I think I was not I didn't notice like it was something important, but it was. And I didn't mind that other people or their children laugh at this or make jokes. But I remember that was this experience that I'm going to tell you that really touched me, and really I think was one of the places where a big doubt came to, or a big disappointment, more than a doubt. And it was in the class of religion,
Of all places.
in all places, in high school. There was a priest that was a very nice guy, funny, close to the students, talking with us, very close. He didn't punish anybody. He didn't hit.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about that. But this priest, one day in class, he asked to the class, I'm going to do one important question here. Let's see what you answer to this. And then, like I was the number one for my for my surname, I was always the number one. He say, Alberto, ask to this question. Why do you believe in God? That was his question. And it's a very good question. Then I stopped for a moment. I feel too a little ashamed because I was not so talkative like I am today, and I really feel I never stand the hand to.
You never lifted your hand.
Lift my hand for to answer. I was very shy in that aspect, but at the same time was very how I tell you when I knew I was very just or very fair with my.
You had a strong sense of justice, of
what's
right and
what
wrong.
is right, and then when he asked, okay, I stand it and I say what in that moment came to my mind, that is what I really believe it. And I say, because I believe in God, because I feel that He is with me all the time, and I pray to Him, and I see how my prayers are answered. That is what I say, with total believing in that, because that was my experience.
Good answer, too.
Yeah, but and then the priest, he said, okay. He said, okay, thank you, Alberto. I don't want to disappoint you, or I don't want to I don't want to confuse you more than what you are.
No,
Yeah,
really?
he say that.
I didn't know
And
this.
I go, what is talking this man? And then I sit, and he continued explaining. He said, no, you don't need, you must not believe in God because he the things that he is saying. You must believe in God because yes.
Oh, just because.
Just because.
Just because.
Just
Okay.
because. This is faith. Simply. You don't need to have proof. You don't need to have whatever you need to believe because. And that is the faith that here we teach, whatever. That I don't tell you that it's not, I wouldn't say that it's a wrong answer. I don't know how to take it. But really, what he did was to dismiss all my experience. That today you and me, we know that you can feel God and you can see how He answered you.
Absolutely.
And we see with the Holy Spirit calling wherever you wanted to call. You want to call it the higher self. That is an answer. That is a communication with the Spirit, with the sacred.
Yeah.
That what I think at that moment maybe he didn't have that communication, and he was more in the faith because
Blind faith.
blind faith
You don't
because
need proof.
because exactly you don't need to prove that this can serve for a while, but why we are going to limit ourselves in that way?
Yeah.
To not have a communication because if God is love, why he's not going to want to communicate with his children?
Yeah.
And we know today with the studies of the Course in Miracles that we are the ones that put the barriers. Then that was an important barrier that was there. And unconsciously, I got that barrier. And I think was the disappointment of to see a figure that I consider a expert or an important figure of representing church, telling that in front of the class with all whatever. I think that was one of the milestones that made me doubt or to lose that spark that I had at that time.
Yeah. Did he make you lose faith, or was it that you started to think that maybe what you believed wasn't quite right? Like, and I say right in the sense of, in quotation
Exactly.
marks.
Maybe doubt my own experience.
Your own experience.
My own experience.
That maybe you're not understanding God properly.
Exactly.
You're not just because
who you are.
who are you to have this direct communication.
This direct communication. The thing is, I think is both. What you say, Then the point is, I am sure that was because this is one of my memories that is always there. It come to me. And I think, and it's not for to blame this man because for sure this was a great man. But obviously the ideas that he put there, they were not right. And in that moment, directed me in far away from what I think was the right path.
It's interesting. So he planted the seed of doubt of who are you? Like who
who
are
I
you
am,
to kind of say these things that you
But
have?
for that God,
God
speak to you,
speaks to you. Yeah. Like
or
who
help
are
you, or help you with
helps you.
with a small miracles or
Right.
with things that it's understandable because if we believe in the reality of this world with all the problems that they look to be there, it's logical that from that perspective, that the Course of Miracles will say today that is the perspective of the ego, that you believe in the reality like a physical thing, that you are separate of everything and don't see is not capable to see a higher vision or understanding of who we really are in relation with God and how really things around us happen or show to us. Then it's understandable, that you say, okay, there are a lot of people dying there for hunger, and he can and help to
Alberto Agrasso. But he doesn't help.
and help to put the channel of the TV well. That, by the way, that is a great question to do yourself.
To make to yourself.
To make to yourself.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't mean that God doesn't help or is not with you. Maybe mean that you don't understand what is God really and who are you.
Yeah.
But at that point, maybe it was the thing. I didn't understand still well. I was seeing God from the separation. I was seeing myself like a child, like a human. I saw after all the problems in the world, and maybe I made that question to myself. This God is love, and it's not helping to these people with these huge problems. Why is going to help me in these things that I think that He's helping me?
Right.
And then maybe this was the doubts that came to me. Then I wanted to clarify this because today I see it more clear. And now, if you want, we go to the question that you asked me first that I have forget completely.
I forgot to.
No, really?
After this kind of detour. That we have taken, I think the question was around what brought you back.
What brought me
So this was
back?
part of
That-
kind of how you were
exactly.
starting to move away. So what brought you back to explore maybe differently or more?
Exactly. Well, what brought me back is totally related with this story that I just told you. What brought me back was to connect again with that love of God that I lost when I was a child, and this understanding that there was another way to see this, and was another way to see this that still imply that God loves us, and that He's not doing these things to us, but we are not. The world is not either the way that we think it is, alone, independently of us. You know, because it came. All this came after many experiences, trying to fit in the world, how the world teach us that we need to fit in, trying to find a job because I didn't want to be a priest. If you don't want to be a priest, well, what is the next? To have a family, to have a job, to get a salary, to be respectful, to be a good person, but to try to contribute in the community,
society, right?
the
Yeah,
society in the best way that you can, but all from this perspective of the world, how the world see things. The physical world. If you don't follow a spiritual path, all become very cause and effect, but without a spiritual cause. You do what you can, and you will receive the benefits of that, but all from the perspective of a physical world.
That's right.
The laws of the physics.
The material
The
world.
material world.
And what the world promises you will bring you happiness and,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Well, it didn't
success.
bring me happiness
Or
at
peace.
all, even when I had many good experiences. Because usually I was a happy kid, with my friends. I enjoy a lot, especially relationships with the friends and all that. But still, the life had so many handicaps and so many things to overcome. And one of them was especially to work in something that I really didn't love. And I put aside my art because nobody can live from his art. There was one in this world,
Yeah.
only very special people.
And of course, you are not that
And
special.
you are not that
Yeah,
special.
You're not that good.
Vamos,
Yeah.
God didn't talk to you for sure. But what are you expecting, to be a famous artist, or to have something beyond of the normal, common of human being? That we are so little in this huge universe, full of limitations. Then, that was one of the things. My work that so many hours.
You were working by then. You were working in insurance,
And
right?
insurance,
As a claims adjuster.
a claim adjuster. I was not happy with that because I didn't.
But it was like winning the lottery for here.
Yeah, for here,
being-
everybody
yeah.
was happy. Why they had made you how you say
Full-time.
Full-time
Full-time.
immediately. You had no problems anymore. You are going to have a salary. It's not a high salary, but it is a salary, and you
And you get to wear a jacket and
a
tie.
jacket and a tie, and you can buy a car, a second-hand car, but it's okay. It's good. And you can have a home, and you can have children, and blah 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 blah. And at the beginning, it was cool for at that time, after a long relationship that we didn't know how to finally when we were going to marry after so many years. But another thing that happened to that especially was the death of my friend Javi, that we had talked about that before.
Well, yes, but why don't you tell the story of what happened?
Well, I told you one of the things that made me happy at that time, apart of all the other handicaps, were relationships. And in these relationships, I had many good friends. But at that time, my best friend, we consider even brothers, blood brothers, you
Yes.
say, from childhood. My best friend, that we went out together with our couples and
With our girlfriends.
girlfriends, and we all the weekends we were together. Then very fast, from one day to other, he had an accident and he was in the hospital, and in 1 week he was gone. And that was very hard, because both we were trying to take advantage of the works that we were doing, even when we didn't like it, and all the other problems that we see having in life. But this friendship, these relationships were the things that give a spark to our life. Then to lose one of the relationships more important that you have at that time, but it was very, very, very hard. And one of the questions that came to me, apart of the why, or why this, and the world say, we cannot do nothing. This was an accident.
Yeah.
Nobody is responsible for this. things happen. And can happen to you tomorrow. And that was the question that came to me. Oye, this can happen to me tomorrow.
Wait a minute, this can't
This can
happen
happen
to me.
to me tomorrow. A part of the loss, a part of the grievance,
Yes.
the pain,
Yes.
and the missing of this important figure in your life. That this can happen to me tomorrow. And then this was, I think, at that time, was one of the things that were started to direct me again to go back. Because I started to study or to read about the NDE experience, near-death experience.
Near deaths, yeah.
My mother give me a book at that time that was very famous, a Raymond Moody book, Life After Life. And this book really helped me. And for another part, I could see Javi in my dreams, my friend. I could see Javi in my dreams. I could see him in the past. I couldn't see with my eyes, but I could feel that he was there with me, that he was telling me, don't worry, I am here with you. Then this started to come, bring me back again to that spirituality that I lost in the childhood.
Yeah.
But with many, that was now conditioned for many other things that happened with my growth, no?
Yeah.
But this was bringing to me until the point that precisely for my work, where I continued for a few years more, but I was not seeing myself happy, and this question came to me again, oye, that this can happen to you tomorrow. What are you doing with your life? This is really what you want to do your life? This is what you really want that your life is? And I started to see my future like a gray road that didn't bring me to anywhere, and that could be cut in any moment.
Yeah.
And then this brought me almost to depression. I didn't go to a doctor or a psychologist because at that time here in Spain, nobody went to psychologists because that was like to say, I am crazy.
Yeah. And no one spoke about mental health.
And to mental health,
No.
very
even-
little.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fear about mental health, and people didn't even look that door. But I am sure that I was depressed because I was not really. I was with a very bad mood, until the point where I say, okay, I don't want anymore. I'm not going to follow this road anymore. Even if I lost my girlfriend of many years because she was saying, how are you going to leave to quit your job? It's terrible. And my friends, hey, are you going to quit your full-time job? What are you going to do? What are you? I'm going to try to live off my art. They said, are you crazy? But right the moment where exactly I couldn't anymore, and I decided I'm going to do something. This must be another way. Must be another way. I don't know what is the way, but I'm not going to continue. And then is when came a book, the Course in Miracles. At that time was not the Course in Miracles, but I was not ready for the Course in Miracles, obviously. But was a student of the Course in Miracles, was somebody that many of the teachings of the Course in Miracles was in her teachings, even when still saw the world like a separate world.
Yes.
Still is not the non-duality teachings or the we are one teachings of the course, but were very close in many ways. And this was the book, you know, You Can Heal Your Life, of Louise Hay.
Yes.
And one of the things, one of the more important things that taught me is that the world outside of me that I see depend 100% in what I believe and what I think. It's not random, the experience that I have. Depend directly of my thinking and my way of seeing things. And if the problem was a thought, if I change that thought, the problem will go. And it was very powerful because in that way I had never seen that before, but I believed in the power of faith that Jesus taught when I was a child. You can see that in the Gospels too.
Yes.
And I remember that and make a lot of sense to me at that time. In the way that she explained in the book, make a lot of sense immediately. In the first 2 pages, you go, wow. And I had never read something like that because at that time you didn't find New Age books. I didn't know even what was
New Age
the
was.
New Age.
Where did you find the book then?
It was in the bookshelf of my mother. That is another crazy thing. I never look at in the bookshelf of my mother because all were about saints.
Right.
Catholic saints, the life of Jesus, San Francisco de Asís, Santa Teresa de Ávila, all the saints. But there, it was that book and was outside of his place. It was pointing out. In a moment that I was in the sofa and I was thinking, what I'm going to do with my life. And then I saw that book And I went to him, what is that? And I could read, you can change your life.
You can heal your life.
You can heal your life.
Usted puede sanar su
And then I
vida.
go, wow, that is what I want. That is what I need. And then I went, and for me, was obviously what we call today Holy Spirit, or was God, or was the higher self, or was your angels, how you want to call it.
That was presence, which I've called a lot of times in my episodes, that guide, teacher.
In the moment that I open myself to that, there must be another way. I'm not going to continue this path because this path doesn't make me happy and nobody happy. Only to the ones that think that is the best thing, that the lottery to you is to have these conditions. You go, sorry, I don't see that. I'm not going to continue this way. Then I received the answer that I needed at that moment. I needed that answer at that moment. And yesterday I told another thing that book showed me is that in my way of thinking at that time, I didn't love myself. All the problems that I had and all the things that I saw outside that I didn't like it were reflecting to the hate that I had about my own self. I was very perfectionist. I thought that I made many mistakes, and I did it, many mistakes, but they were innocent mistakes because I believed things and I did what I could with what I knew. But for me, I was not forgiving with that, and I was all the time punishing myself, saying things like, you're stupid, you are whatever. In this kind of depression that I was, they were bigger, these accusations that I did to myself, these attacks, self-attacks that I did to myself. And I told you too, I was shy from very, very little. Then these were still stronger when I make a mistake, and I thought that maybe I not only I had been something silly, but maybe I had affect another person. I had hurt somebody else. They were incrementing all this. Then what was clear for me first was to discover that I deserve love, and had been very hard with me. This was very emotional because I cried for a while. I understand there was a beautiful exercise in the book that is the mirror work, where you look at the mirror and you try to say, I love you, to what you see there. And I was not capable to do it. And then this was a proof that really I needed to do that, and how hard I had been seeing myself. And then I could understand too that I was living that, and I was experiencing all that. That is what really was happening to all the people around there, that they were in conflict, that they were in problems, that they were angry, that they were sad. Was the same thing. They didn't love themselves as love they deserve, and like all we deserve, because that's another thing of the teachings, that we are sons of God, we are spirits, and we deserve love, and we are dignos, worthy of love, because for what we really are. And that encounter with that vision, that philosophy, was what brought me back to the spiritual path in a way that nobody expected. And in that the next 3 months I was happy and in a good way, loving. I was in peace. I was until little by little that was relaxing. But since then, that was my path started to take the direction that I had continued having since then. Yeah.
So I can see how Louise Hay could be a bridge to kind of where the course is, what the teachings of A Course in Miracles are, and how eventually you were led there. It's funny because she didn't come to me. That was not one of the books that came into my experience, and I know that you've had that you began to read, after that. So do you want to talk about some of the other books that kind of influenced you, and especially how you got to the Camino, because that's where we ultimately met, and why you went to the Camino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had since that moment I started to look. All that I looked at was spirituality, Eastern philosophies, mysticism, New Age. That at that time
Were there New Age bookstores?
I didn't know that there was, but
There were, no?
they were. I found it after. There was magazines that followed to like Año Cero, I remember at that time, and there was a couple more. Even a funny thing, my brother younger than me, he was already looking in all these philosophies and visions, and I thought at that time even that he was crazy things that he was having. Even my mother and me were a little worried about him.
Funny.
And then when I told him what had happened, and I talked about my experience and my thinking, he was amazed. Digo, Alberto, you have changed. You have changed in only in a couple of days. What you are telling me, because I told, and then at that time I understood him much more. And then I wanted to give me all that you have there. And then he started to pass me books and reference, because he was a seeker at that time.
Yeah.
He was a seeker, my brother, my little brother. He was 28 at that time. He was 25. Well, my little brother was not a child, but he was in that path for a while. He was in that path for a while. Then, thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.
Now, where you are listening this, but you don't speak English, then I don't think that you are going to be listening this. But thank you. Then, I went to libraries. I went to and all the books that I had not read in my life, that I read it, but I was a good reader, because that's another thing that my mother taught us to read since we were little. I was a good reader, but it was books of fiction,
Comics.
comics. I love comics, and still I do. But a lot of books of fiction and novels, but then I started to read without the stop, books after books, book after books, and authors like Wayne Dyer, one of my favorites, Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh with the trilogy of Conversation with God. That is one that you also read it. Deepak Chopra, I think you read it too.
A little bit, yes.
Paulo Coelho, with The Alchemist. There was a guy too, a Latino guy, Enrique Barrios, with the books about extraterrestrials being spiritual. Of course, Tony de Mello, like I mentioned before. That was a bridge between Christianity and the Eastern religions or traditions.
Yeah. And you did do Eastern traditions as well.
Yeah, I did
Buddhism,
Buddhism, Hinduism, in more than others, but I picked of everything, and I found the essential in all of them. I found that this is talking about the same thing, but from a different perspective, with a different language, terminology, but it's talking about the same thing. I didn't find the Course in Miracles yet, even when I hear about it, no, but still I didn't find shamanism too, especially the more modern shamanism, like the Toltec, and many other authors like Castañeda, Robin Sharma,
Don Luis Miguel, with the four agreements.
For agreements, exactly. And many other all that was at that time. I read it. I read it, everything that was at that time. And yes, it helped me in some moments, maybe because all these visions had many things of truth, but had others that still are not really. There are some missing parts. It's part of the path. You go learning things, but there are some things that are not well interpreted or well understood in every path that I found at that time.
I think too that you receive, and this is something that I talked about in the last episode about the inner guide. The guide your inner guide,
Exactly.
the inner teacher knows what you're able to digest and
I was
accept.
asking to him,
Yes, and you maybe called it I don't know what you called it, your friend. You called that because you knew that you had
I think at that time I get the term of life.
life
Because that came in the
Louise Hay
in the
book.
Louise Hay book called Life, but I talked to it like I talked to God when I was a child.
Right.
I didn't came close to Jesus again, even when I saw I really go, well, Jesus must be there between all these people too. But I talked to God directly, but I seen it more like a friend, or like a father, a figure, more like a mother, because mothers are more loving, in our experience here in the world. We know now that there is not gender at the other side, but yeah, I talked and I asked for guidance, and I could see the guidance. Very soon after my awakening with this book, I say my awakening, still I was not awake, obviously, but this big jump in my spiritual path with this book of Louis Hay, I started to be aware of synchronicities and how the spirit, God, life, how you want to call it, was communicating with me, and very clearly, because I wanted. I was open, I wanted, and then I started to see the coincidences, synchronicities with meaning and very clear guidance. And that was, for example, one thing that I learned very soon, that was that you ask it to God and you open a book, any book, you can receive an answer when you do properly without fear, feeling the love and feeling. And how many answers we have received that way, Moni? And you know, because tons and tons.
Well, I
and
was
tons.
practicing that in my own way as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I've always seen you as somebody who's intuitive, who's able to kind of look past what is maybe visible to the heart of things as well. You could read clouds, you could read,
Yeah.
the waves. And so there was, from the time that I met you, I always knew that you kind of could see patterns and connections that maybe, I didn't see right away. But when you pointed them out, I said, oh yeah, that's right. But yes, the synchronicities, the things that show up and you go, there is no way that is just a coincidence. Exactly.
Statistics never will support this.
Never this. Exactly. And so I understand what you're saying about kind of starting to follow synchronicities and signs and going, yeah. And that's how that universe or that life is speaking to you.
And that was another important part, that was the dreams. In the dreaming world becomes so much more enlightened and more with figures and with angels and with
Oh, wow.
and guiding you, and for example, I remember a few dreams where I look to a mirror and dreaming. In the dream, I look to a mirror and I see myself dressing in white and smiling to me with a wise looking to me and saying, "You are doing well. Good, follow that." And I was feeling nervous because I was recognizing that figure was a spiritual part of me, wiser. Was me, but wiser.
Wiser.
And that happened more than once. And the dream world began. I started to write my dreams. I started to write my diaries, to capture all these things that were happening, and really, then all this process. It was until what I'm talking about 1997. The summer 1997 was when I found this book, when I was going to leave everything that I didn't at the end, because part of what I was discovering is that I could come back to my work for now and try to put in practice, because my work gave me a great opportunity. I was serving to the public. It was people coming to me. Then I could try to bring this vision, or at least this love that I just discovered in me and in them, to the people that came to me. Even when I didn't believe in insurance anymore, because I knew that security didn't came from a policy or from money. It came from the spiritual knowing, of who we are. But there still was opportunity to treat with people, and I continued there for 2-3 years. No, sorry, 2-3 years. No, I continued there for 1 year. But now practicing with all this, and I was happy there until I arrived at the moment that I needed to choose, and okay, it's done. And then when I finishing my work, my relationship with at that time my girlfriend, that even we married, how that didn't came well, because there was a lot of fear that maybe in some moment I could go to India or to and to leave everything behind. Something that I didn't think at that time, but finally that then happened.
Something similar.
Something similar happened. And it was until 3 years later that I went to El Camino with you. I went in 2001, following this call where I met you, but the year before I had gone to, in 2000. But there are so many anecdotes and so many stories that I could say here, that they are important, because really they show how this process happened to everybody. This can happen to anybody. and it's not because I am me. It's because this process adapt to every person in their circumstance. And then it is so meaningful in my own story, but like is meaningful in the story of anybody. That happens is that we don't know, we don't see it still how it really is. But you see it in your own process,
Yes.
how it was in that same way.
Because you're going through, you were doing the same thing that I was doing, which is
Exactly.
to say, I'm willing. I mean, there's got to be another way, which was the entry point. I think what I love about you especially is that you had that foundation of a teaching from your mom that said your creator is a loving creator.
Yeah.
What created you is love, and it is there to support you, it's there to guide you, it's there to love you if you will just listen to it. So go to it. I had to learn that because that's not something
Yeah.
that I grew up with necessarily or that I accepted. And so that to me is a beautiful part of what your story is. And at the same time, I think the natural thing of, you see contradictions, you move away, but then you come back, and the coming back, you begin with saying, I want to, like, I'm willing to learn.
Exactly.
I'm willing to look at things differently. I'm willing to be guided,
Exactly.
which is what I was talking about, in other episodes. I'm willing to see things differently. I may not understand, but I want. And I am willing to act on it, even though it doesn't always make sense that you receive the synchronicity or the sign or the guidance, and you go, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it because I feel that this is where I'm being guided. And that comes, and there is a level of faith when it comes to that. There is a level of, surrendering and trusting a little that you're going to
Even
be
when
okay.
you still don't see the effects. But the good thing of it, you will agree with me, is that you start to see the effects.
You start to see
very very
effects.
soon.
That's
So
right.
that trust that you put in this path start to show you the effects of that trust.
That's
You
right.
start to see the results of all that. Then, yeah.
Yeah, and that led you after on that second, was it second or third Camino that you did where we met? Because you did the Camino
I did the Camino once. That
once.
was really amazing, a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
But and the next year, I went to El Camino again without expecting, without trying to. I went like the hospitalero,
Yep.
like how you say in
No,
English.
hospitalero, yeah, pilgrims know.
Okay, okay. But I went on Hospitalero El Camino, and at the end I needed to continue walking because I couldn't stay with the rules that that place had.
Yeah.
I continued walking, and I found myself walking again. And at the end of that journey, the walk was where we meet in
Where we met.
Finisterre, at the end of the world. It
That's
was
right.
destiny,
That's
and
right.
obviously, and even you like me, we were in that journey, were being guided, and we knew that something great was bringing us to to where we needed to go.
That's
No?
right.
Then it was destiny, obviously, because we were open to it.
That's right. And by the time I met you, I had already received my signs to go to Jerusalem. That was what I felt was the calling, was to walk the way of the soul to go to Jerusalem. I remember I told you about it, and I didn't speak, Spanish back then, and you didn't speak very much English.
Very little English.
Yeah, and we had a translator, the character in our book
Sí.
who's named Hannah, who was
Yeah.
the one who translated for us. And even though you said this was, wow, that's really cool, it wasn't something that you said, oh, wow, yes, let me join you and let's go together. It was
No.
nothing like that.
No, was
Yeah.
nothing like that. Was clearly because spirit or God or life, how you want to call it, how we are asking
Yes.
for guidance. He started to direct us, and he started to make me think about this. You are going to with this woman to Jerusalem. You are going to walk this path with her.
Yeah, but that came later, though.
This came later.
That came later because after in Finisterre, we saw
No,
each other
we
literally
said
that
for one
afternoon.
day,
Exactly.
one afternoon.
And then you got on the bus and you left, and
But I loved the story, your intention to go to Jerusalem. I
Yeah.
thought, wow, for peace. I walk for peace to Jerusalem. They go, wow, that is amazing. I really like, but I didn't see myself there. I didn't know you. I didn't how I'm
Same.
going to do. I had no the money. I had no the
and you weren't invited.
yeah, I was not invited either. No, never crossed my mind that we were going to see each other again. And I would never had asked you for, oh yeah, I go with you. No, never I would have done that. And then, but obviously, Spirit knew, the Holy Spirit or
Life,
life
the
knew
guide.
and knew how to do the things
Yeah.
properly and in the way that we could accept and to follow the path that he was pointing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, it's hard to believe, but we've been going for an hour here.
Yeah, I see.
And I know that there is a lot more to be said, a
Yeah,
lot more to
we
be
could.
shared.
Yeah.
So, how about we leave it for now and we continue with Alberto part two for
Well,
the next time?
Alberto, or
Yeah,
yeah,
the story,
the
part two.
story
How's
that
that?
united us. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah?
for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
for
Well,
the
why
next
don't we
day.
do
Thank
that?
you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we leave it here for now? Thanks to everybody who's listening for joining us, for listening to us. We hope that these stories, these experiences that we're sharing are also serving your journeys and that they offer you little tidbits, little nuggets for you to contemplate, for you to consider in your own lives, in your own inner journeys as well.
Yeah.
So we thank you again, and we will look forward to our time together next time with Alberto and I.
Yeah.
Until then,
Thank you, thank you.
buen camino to all. Bye for now.
Buen camino.